Welcome back to Philippines Uncut. I'm your host, Buddy Curana. Tonight's topic is Understanding Addiction with Dr. Nikki Isaacs, and she is an evolutionary psychologist. Welcome back, Dr. Nikki, our second segment. Now, okay, we talked about addiction and say what causes it and what are the types of addiction. We kind of discussed that in the first segment. Now, I want to ask you, is addiction an illness? Would you consider it an illness?
It is in the sense of brain chemistry.
Okay.
It is not an illness in the way that it's been defined for the last 80 years by 12 Steps or Alcoholics Anonymous.
How has it been defined for the past 8 years? What is the traditional definition of addiction?
The traditional definition of addiction is that it is a illness that has no cure and is fatal.
No cure.
No cure.
I mean, why such a pessimistic approach from the traditionalists? How come it's been called that, like it's a disease with no cure?
Well, that's what the Alcoholics Anonymous folks promoted, and it's a part of their 12-step program.
Okay.
Now, if you look at medicine, traditional Orthodox medicine, I don't care if you have cancer, if you came to me and I was a medical doctor, I would always tell you there's hope.
Yes,
you know,
definitely.
But this is the one category of area where you're not taught that there is actually hope. You have this label and you're stigmatized with this stereotype for the rest of your life.
Now, okay, you mentioned 12 steps, and you know, like AA groups like Alcoholics Anonymous,
Correct,
are very high profile. We've all heard about them. What is this 12 steps process or this 12 steps treatment that they offer?
It's a spiritual program. They do not offer any counseling. They do not offer any medical advice. It is strictly between you and your higher power. I don't have any issue with that. I'm a very deeply spiritual person myself. And what I have issue with is the fact that having researched all of the religions in the world, I've never found a deity that was so weak that they couldn't handle the challenge of alcoholism or drug addiction.
Yes, yes. You know, because we hear about celebs, for instance, who have been addicted to alcohol or drugs, and then they go to rehab, right? What's your take on this, on rehab or rehabilitation?
I think rehabilitation in America and the American model is a huge money-making machine where the rehab folks, the folks in our government, as well as big business and pharma are all in bed together for a multi-trillion-dollar-a-year industry that is not successful.
Did you ever go through rehab for your problems?
Yes.
What kind of rehab did you go through?
I went through a traditional rehab, hospital-based, that was a 12-step program. It didn't resonate with me, and there's no choices. It's a cookie-cutter program. It doesn't matter if you're a man, woman, child, what race you are, what your traditional belief systems are. Nothing accommodates any of those things. They don't matter. And as human beings, we're all different, just like each of our metabolisms are different. Our beliefs are different. Our passions in life, our soul's purpose is different. We're all unique individuals. And so we have to be able to have some discretion to be able to heal ourselves.
Yes, yes.
Which is why then I divorced those programs to find my own way.
It didn't work for you?
No. So I actually, once I got a few years clean under my belt, decided to go to graduate school to figure out why those methods are the way they are, why they didn't work for me, and how I could help others avoid those years of just misery.
Now, you mentioned big pharma. What role does big pharma play in rehab, in this 12-step process?
Well, many of the hospital-based programs are really big on writing prescriptions for drugs. So, they will provide medication to soothe the symptoms. They don't take away the problem.
Which is what a lot of mainstream medicine is about.
Exactly.
Addressing the symptoms
Exactly.
and not the causes. No?
Exactly. And if you think about it, American medical schools don't even teach nutrition. So there is not even a prevention element there in the knowledge base of all of these medical doctors.
How interesting, huh? How interesting. It's such a key factor of health.
Of course.
It's totally,
the cornerstone.
totally looked over.
The cornerstone. And if you look at who are involved in our highest level executive councils on fitness and nutrition, who you will see holding those seats are Coca-Cola Company, Pepsi Company, Hershey Company, the advertisers, the restaurateurs, all of these big money that have trillions of dollars a year that have nothing to do with nutrition, nutritionists, MDs.
So it really sounds like a big, like a collaboration almost, no? of major interest groups.
I would call it a conspiracy, you know.
Yeah.
It is not a good thing. Our food industry, the big food manufacturers, and I shared with you earlier that I had a food addiction. I worked really hard to lose weight and looked at the diets. If you Google the word diet, you'll come up with 13 million different connections, okay?
Wow.
So
Yeah.
you would think somebody had an answer. So I would search and try something and try to figure it out. It wasn't until I learned that the big food manufacturers actually put appetite stimulants in their processed foods. Now, back in the 50s, the agricultural folks started hybriding wheat. And when they did that, they changed it from being a really big, tall plant to a short one that increased the yield tremendously.
Yes.
But what happened during that time was that a new protein was created. It's called gliadin. And the gliadin protein is an appetite stimulant. And so there are about 15 different names that food manufacturers use to hide it in all processed foods. They put it in makeup. They put it in all of your...
Makeup.
Yes, because who makes makeup and hygiene products but food manufacturers? They have a vested interest in getting anything they can on the biggest organ you have, which is your skin.
Yes.
So whether it's lotion, whether it's your shampoos, that's part of what I'll be teaching in the seminar next week, is about how those chemicals contribute to the problems in your brain that cause addictions.
So what you're saying is that a lot of the food we have now, processed food, are infused with substances, intentionally infused with substances to get us on them, to get us craving for more food, to get us, you know,
Absolutely. And when we look at in the American history of when they started doing this, and we look at a 40-year longitudinal history of what's happened in our country since that's happened, and the food pyramid that came out that wasn't created by doctors or nutritionists, it was a marketing tool. But since they did the combination of both of those things, we have an epidemic rate of obesity, we have an epidemic rate of diabetes, and many families have lost loved ones who have also either died or lost their limbs or just had really poor health, all because of food issues. And this is a bigger, uglier mess than the smoking issues and ever getting them to all admit this. I mean, we're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars and just this really horrible conspiracy.
So what you're saying is that there really is a direct relation between the substances put in processed food to get consumers to crave more, to eat more.
It is the gliadin. And I also even have taken pictures that I have in my PowerPoint for this week where I show on foods like Weight Watchers or Atkins or other kinds of companies that have been designed to help people lose weight,
Yes. Yes.
they have the same stuff in them.
No wonder they're working.
No wonder they're not working.
Yes.
But their bottom line is they only care about the money.
And so what you're saying is that these chemicals, these substances, actually cause addiction because it somehow induces the recipient, the one who consumes these substances, to look for something that soothes them.
And you can't, it's just like the potato chip. You can't eat just one. I mean, they've put the same kind of chemical inducer in food to ensure that you keep eating their products.
So this is in your study, this is really the cause,
Yes.
the root cause of addiction.
Yes, because once I learned that, then I knew I was really onto something, because then I was able to cut out all processed foods. Period. End of story.
What did you cut out? I mean, in your case, what did you cut out immediately when you found out? In your case,
In my case,
Yeah.
I cut out everything other than vegetables I could buy at the store that were naked, that weren't, frozen or
Yes.
I mean, just absolutely everything.
Yes.
And then I went to all grass-fed beef and
Organic,
organic meats and
which
all
is
of
quite
those
difficult in the
things.
States because, unfortunately, the U.S. of A. is
It is
overrun by GMO and the GMO
It is. It is.
products. No?
It is.
No.
Now, it made it easier because I now do paleo diet, and paleo is what mankind has eaten, the vast majority of human history on the planet, and so it makes it much easier for me, and I feel fabulous. So.
Very nice. Dr. Isaacs, we have to pause for a break, another break.
Okay.
It goes by very fast, but I want to continue talking about what is a paleo diet
Okay.
by Philippines Uncut. Guys, stay tuned because more of Understanding Addiction when we come back.